The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Patrick Walker, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Friday, September 29th, 2023, season 19, episode number 42. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, presented by, we're presented by Blockchain. We'll go ahead and get that out of the way, blockchain.com. Hey, we are today getting you guys ready for Cowboys versus the Patriots. That'll happen this Sunday. I think the kick time is 3:25, so make sure you check that out. But today we're going to let you know what we think is going to happen, who we think will win the game at the end of the game. At the end of the show, we'll give you our picks for the show, or for the game, sorry. And we will start what we normally start with some injury updates. What do we know about our offensive line at this point? We got 3 players that missed last week, have had varying degrees of practice this week. What are we hearing, and what do we suspect will happen this Sunday?
All right, we're going to run down the list here. Tyler Biadasz was upgraded to limited from did not participate on Wednesday. Progress there. Zach Martin also upgraded from DNP to limited. Progress there as well. Tyron Smith still did not practice, and it's not anticipated that he will practice on Friday either. Mike McCarthy said this morning that Tyron Smith is expected to be in the rehab group for the totality of today's practice. So not a lot of optimism as far as Tyron Smith is concerned. Is it impossible that he takes the field on Sunday? No, but it is very much a wait and see situation for all 3 of those guys. But there has been good progress for Biadasz and Martin in their goal, in their mission to get back onto the field. Other than that, I mean, you have Tony Pollard had a rest day. CeeDee Lamb and DeMarcus Lawrence returned from their rest days. And Chuma Edoga was limited again as he continues to work through that elbow situation. So looks like 2 of the 3 Cowboys starting offensive linemen have a really solid chance. But again, we'll see how it goes because we got through Thursday. We still got to get through Saturday.
Based on that, and obviously at this point, it looks like with Tyron, who knows, likely, it could go either way. Let's say it could go either way,
we'll
right?
See.
Chuma also has the injury. He's still nursing that injury. If Chuma can't play the whole game, who then becomes your left tackle in that instance?
Do you slide?
Awesome Richards.
Awesome Richards. I would absolutely say Awesome Richards there. And I honestly, considering Chuma, like you said, is dealing with the elbow injury and limited, I personally, now this is just me talking, this is not the coaching staff talking, I would be okay with having Awesome start and then seeing where that goes, which, if he goes out there and he performs well, then Edoga gets that much more rest on that elbow. If the rookie goes out there and starts to struggle over the first several series, then you can put Edoga out there and say, okay, well, we tried it. Let's go with what we know in Edoga. So I would be completely fine if they looked at Richards and said, hey, we sent Hoffman out there, second-year guy. We sent T.J. Bass out there, an undrafted rookie. Let's see what you can do as a rookie 5th-round pick.
I'm going to ask you to speculate here. Do you speculate that he has been practicing all week, Awesome Richards at left tackle, with the Edoga situation?
I would speculate that being the case because that just makes that much sense. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
We need to figure out who's been practicing at left tackle.
Also McCarthy said he's going to give practice time to everybody.
Right.
To all the backups.
That's good. I think that's a good thing. But we need to figure out who's playing who's practicing at left tackle. Because if you tell me it was Tyler Smith, I'd think a whole different thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's the case, and that's why I asked you if you would just speculate. I would say that Awesome Richards probably practiced at left tackle, which would lead some credence to why you would probably play, him in this game or to start him in this game if that's the case.
I'm getting the feeling more and more. I know we talked about it yesterday. It's different because the injuries aren't happening, knock on wood, late in the week. So you have a whole week of preparation, and then maybe you consider the Tyler Smith to left tackle against the Patriots. But in conversations I'm having in the building, I'm getting the sense that they're really locked in on Tyler Smith at left guard.
Yeah, and for the life of me, I can't understand why they're so locked into him staying at guard. But I think that's probably the way it goes as well, is that he's going to be your left guard, and they're just going to keep kind of moving other parts into left tackle.
To me, this reminds me very much of when I did work in the scouting department here. And Jerry Jones would always talk about the front of the pocket. He'd always talk about how important it was, and he learned this when Romo was involved, of how important it was to have the ability to step forward in the pocket. And he's likely thinking that my best options are to keep the front of the pocket firm and clean for Dak in order to make these things work. And so that would be the only thing. Now, maybe I don't know if Jerry would go in there and tell Mike McCarthy, hey, listen, we need to keep my philosophy. As a general manager, he can say that. Mm-hmm. He goes, I firmly believe that I need to keep my guards strong and my center strong too for my quarterback. So I don't know if that's something that they're trying to, that Mike McCarthy is allowing, or because the general manager asked that, hey, this is one of my beliefs.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't think that would necessarily be an uncommon belief.
Yeah.
So it could be Mike actually thinks that's the philosophy he has as well, right?
Could very well.
It could be the offensive line coaches I think we need to keep the center of the offensive line stronger,
right,
and protect that. Again, I know Nick used to always say this, I'd rather my tackles be the points of failure because my quarterback at least can prepare for that a little bit more, especially if it's coming toward him. Now, on the blind side a little less. With Romo, it always seemed like he had eyes in the back of his head.
Sure.
So if he knew that guy was coming,
he felt it.
He couldn't get away from that guy. But maybe that's it. Maybe they just feel like it's better to have the middle of the pocket protected.
There's a lot of people in the league that will tell you that quarterbacks can handle edge pressure better than they can handle pressure in their face.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where we get some of the thoughts about that.
Which makes sense, because if you had to choose, like you said, Derek, you'd rather the pocket collapse on the edges and hold firm up front, because then the quarterback can step in to a collapsing pocket on the exterior. Mm-hmm. And then maybe, depending on what the linebackers are doing, he might even have an opportunity to run for, 4 or 5 yard gain, maybe more. So, I mean, again, conversations I'm having in the building, I'm just getting the sense they're really locked into Tyler Smith at left guard. And that's why I say, Chuma Edoga, I think, gets the start. We'll see how it goes with Tyron Smith. But I would be completely fine with throwing your rookie 5th round pick out there, he had a strong camp, and if you look at what he did at UNC, granted UNC and the NFL are two different things, but there's a lot of potential in Awesome Richards.
Yeah, but the thing with Awesome Richards, and you make a really good point, the thing with Awesome Richards coming out of North Carolina is he's played against some outstanding edge rushers. He's Clemson, Florida State, in that Notre Dame in that conference. I mean, when he's played against some guys, and we saw some things, he's not perfect by any means right now. He probably needs to be a little bit stronger and stuff. But, the thing with Edoga is that, and I don't think Edoga was terrible in that game the other day. I mean, I had some legitimate concerns about him playing tackle. But, if he's compromised, he fought through the game with the elbow problem in that game, and we'll see. But I just I was taught this a long time ago, that they always say that the tackle's responsible for the width, and the inside 3 guys are responsible for the depth. And I do know, working for this guy as a general manager, that was something that was important to him.
I think you have enough in the backups to be able to play better than how you played last weekend. I mean, the running game was there for the running backs, and then Dak wasn't absolutely destroyed. He got sacked a couple of times, but other than that, it was a pretty good game as far as protection-wise for him. So I think that after seeing that 3 starters being out, them playing with the backups, last-minute type of situation, it gives me a little bit more ease in a sense that they can go out and perform, or do enough, be that whole extra large Band-Aid that you need.
And they are extra large.
Now you just need to be creative. Now you need to get McCarthy and McCarthy get out there and be more creative with the other pieces that they do have as starters, and how they utilize other guys, and even the tight ends, how they can help as well in the blocking game.
All right, I wanted to talk a little bit about Tony Pollard. We were going to talk about this yesterday. We ran out of time. There are a couple things I noted about his performance so far that stood out to me. The first being, right now, Tony Pollard leads the NFL in rushing attempts with 62. Mm-hmm. Kind of surprising for me, for a guy that has not, throughout his career, even going back to college, was never the guy that was getting all the bulk of the carries, always split those reps. Do you guys have any concern from the standpoint of workload if you're trying to keep him for a 17-game season and then hopefully a playoff run? Are there any concerns from the standpoint of giving him that much of a workload here at the early parts of the season?
I would say a soft yes if they didn't show me the rest day yesterday. That tells me that they're looking at the GPS, they're looking at the workload, and they're actively trying to manage this in real time. So if they continue to give Tony Pollard a rest day every couple weeks, maybe once per week, then I think that'll do well in offsetting his added workload because, like you said, he's not been the guy, I think, since the beginning of high school. So he's going to have to, and he'll tell you, you call it, I'll haul it. And I love that, and he's absolutely correct. But you got to offset that somewhere because he's kind of being thrown into that RB1 role in a big way. But then you also offset it by mixing in a little bit more Rico, mixing in Deuce Vaughn, mixing in Kevontae Turpin is kind of that +1 in the running back room. And then, of course, like I said yesterday, get Hunter Lipke involved like you did last week. Keep that going.
Yeah, you have enough guys to where you can do that, but I don't think they should lower the amount of times that they give him the ball because, 1, he's healthy. 2, he's young. 3, he's getting paid. So if all of the above are there,
he's on a franchise tag.
Exactly. So if all of those things are there, I mean, this is what we do in the NFL season is play the game. So there's no reason for me unless now you start seeing his body taking a hit, then that's where, okay, you look at it and you start managing it a little more drastically. And luckily you have guys where you can balance that out. But right now, I don't think it needs to be that way.
Ask me that question in week 9.
Right, yeah.
That's where I think that you'll know right now. I think there's to the point where Amber's making he hasn't, as you mentioned earlier when you were leading up to this, he hasn't had a lot of carries in his career. This is the first time that he's really had this opportunity. If you look at, say, a guy like Ezekiel Elliott back in the day, Bijan Robinson splitting time at Texas now with Atlanta. Some of these guys have had a lot of carries in their college careers, and then all of a sudden those carries start to add up when you get to the NFL. I think with Pollard, though, I think they'll manage him right, but until you see that day where the play is falling off, where you see him completely falling off, then I would continue to ride that horse until with my own eyes I'm like, okay, looks like to me we're starting to break down a little bit here.
Here's the other thing that jumped out to me, and this was probably even more shocking than him leading the leagues in rush attempts. I think it's because we've always assumed that Tony is more of an outside runner than an inside runner.
Oh, no, he'll run it inside.
But check this
out.
out.
Yeah.
The Cowboys have had this year, they have run 40 times with Tony Pollard inside.
Yeah.
22 times outside. So they're doubling the number of times they're running inside with Tony versus outside. And the more interesting thing is he actually leads the league in rush yards inside the tackles. He has 199 yards there. He's averaging 5 yards per carry inside the tackles. Are you guys surprised by that? Does that seem like just these are circumstances of the game and it just makes sense based upon who they've played and the situations they've been in?
I kind of feel like that we all thought that Tony was a small guy.
Yeah.
And he's really not a small guy. He might be a shorter guy, but weight-wise, 212, 215, something like that, though. So, yeah, to me, that the thought of running him inside is because I've always viewed him as if you could get him on the edge, he's one of those guys that kind of he could transition better into. He gets the edge and then he hits the hole and now he's outside or he takes it back. When you're inside runner with all the trash and stuff, you don't play to his strengths with the elusiveness that he has. If he's on the edge, you could see him make cuts and work outside or work back across or let guys overrun and him come back inside. When you take him inside, he's pretty much taking and getting what he can get, without the ability to play to his strengths. That part of it's surprising to me.
Right. That's the part that shocks me because you're not using his best assets, I would think.
And I think there's some situational football involved in that. You talk about the blowout in New York and, using the running game to kind of manage what was going on in the game, not taking unnecessary risks downfield. But I think what's surprising for me is not that Tony can run in those gaps. It's the fact that he's averaging what he's averaging with backup offensive linemen, because this has been a makeshift offensive line since week one. We've not seen this front five be whole just yet. And yet and still, Tony Pollard, he's doing the dirty work and getting the yards as well. So that's what's surprising. It's not that he can do it, it's that he's doing it with backups in front of him in one capacity or another. So I like that, because that gives you a lot of optimism for when that offensive line is whole, then what does he look like?
Yeah, I had a lot of questions or uncertainty when I knew, okay, Zeke is on, and then now you're giving this role to Tony Pollard. And we had seen him capable of playing a full game and taking charge and doing really well, but we hadn't seen week after week, game after game. And I think characteristic-wise, that would be... It is surprising to me that you're saying that, because that's not what you think of him as. That's always been Zeke type of play. That's when Zeke goes in and does that, takes charge of that. So it is surprising, and that's not what you're expecting, but it's not surprising because he's a talented player. Right. He's a talented running back, but it's good to see that, because there are times that you've seen Zeke trying to run or block somebody, more block than running, and he'll just bounce back. There were times that happened last year, and then you imagine, oh God, what does Tony, how is he going to look like in that situation when Zeke has looked this way? Yeah. So, but he's doing it. He's doing it, and good for him. I'm happy that he's kind of started proving me wrong in that way. Not that he needs to, but it's just good to.
I'm like that old lady in the Titanic movie when you start to talk about the offensive line playing together.
It's been 72
It's been
years.
72 years. Yeah, I'm standing on the front of that boat,
Just reminiscing about the good old days.
Yeah, when they actually had, Doug Free and, they had Travis
Frederick and
Ron Leary.
And you run the same five out there every week.
72 years since I've seen this offensive line play together. That's
and
me.
Rose in the water. You're like,
Rose.
You're looking at Fred. You're like, come back.
Yeah.
She's floating on the wood.
Come back. Sink to the bottom of the ocean. That's me.
All right, we're gonna take our first break. We're gonna come back. Amber has a game for us. It's called "Let's Take a Trip Down Memory Lane." We'll do that in the second segment, and then we'll get to the final segment where we will get to the picks, and we'll let you guys know what we think are the keys for the offense and the defense. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't stop banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Back to the break.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Dallas Cowboys football? Tell us how you spice up the game for a chance to be named 2023 Cowboys Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan, and win exclusive prizes, plus a trip to Super Bowl 58. Nominate yourself or another today at DallasCowboys.com/fan of the year.
Welcome back. Second segment of the break, live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We'll let this segment be brought to you by blockchain as well. Bing. All right, here we go. Amber. Amber's got a game for us. It's called Let's Take a Trip Down Memory Lane.
Quick answers. I promise I'll give you a quick answer.
Hey, mine are not quick because I got some stories for y'all, but let's go.
And that's the whole point. I want to hear stories.
Okay. Well, you had a long list, so I don't want to.
It is a long list. She looks like my kind of rundown, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's calm down here. This is my segment.
All right.
Here we go. Here we go.
Cook.
All right. Let's just reminisce on some good memories, some bad ones. So let's get into it. First question for you guys. What was your favorite play of all time?
Of all time.
You shouldn't be thinking too hard. I gave you guys this question beforehand.
I know exactly what it is. I can't remember the exact game in the year. This is when I usually would have Nick here to be able to say, it was this game, it was 3:37 left in the game, whatever. But it was the Woody Dantzler punt return touchdown at Texas. I think it was at Texas Stadium.
At Texas
Stadium. It was, if you've never seen it, go to YouTube and just look up Woody Dantzler punt return. It was by far, I think, one of the best just football plays I've ever seen in my life. It had so many moments in it when he should have gone down, and he didn't, and he runs it all the way back. But that was by far my favorite play.
I haven't seen that one.
I'm going to go with this one is for the late, great Marion Barber, the Barbarian. The most physical 2-yard run I've ever seen in my life. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and hit that search criteria, hit Marion Barber 2-yard run, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. That play is the definition of what the Barbarian was. He just refused to go down, guys running, bumping off of him. And I mean, it was just the most exciting 2 yards I've ever seen in my life. So shouts out to the late, great Marion Barber.
Alvin Harper's touchdown pass against the San Francisco 49ers when I was sitting in a box full of San Francisco 49er fans.
I've heard the story. It's a good one.
And they were talking about how bad everybody was from Dallas. And when Harper caught that ball, I'm screaming, run, 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 run. And then I MF'd everybody walking out of the box. That was my favorite Cowboy play of all time.
Nice.
I got an honorable mention. Romo's spin on TJ Watt, 43-yard bomb to Terrence Williams.
That was a good one.
Honorable mention.
That was a good one.
Exciting. Okay, funniest memory with the Cowboys. Something that happened that was a funny moment.
All right, I'm at a point in my life
Whenever
where
it starts
I'm
that
finally ready to let my pain be someone else's laughter.
Yeah.
So there was a year back in 2007, I think it was. It was actually we were going to Green Bay to play the Green Bay Packers, and went to the game. Cowboys are having a bad season. They go to Green Bay and they just get blasted. And we are coming back from that game, and we're on the plane. Nick tells me, I'm going to write that I think the coach should be fired. I'm going to write this. And so I'm like, kind of true. So he's like, all right, cool, I'm going to write this. So he writes this story. I get home that night. I finished putting up, at that time I was still posting all the articles onto the website. So I finished posting all the articles onto the website, and I'm getting ready for bed. I literally put my phone over on my nightstand, and I turn over to get into my bed, and my phone rings. And I'm thinking, this can't be good, because at this point it's like overnight. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. Pick up the phone. And it's a guy from the company that hosts our website. And he's like...
Oh, I remember this.
He's like, Derek, we're getting some errors from your website that says the domain doesn't exist. And I'm like, what? He's like, seriously, we're getting some error messages when we go to your website. So I jump up, I go grab my computer, I jump on, and sure enough, I pull up our website, and it is basically showing a picture of some little girls playing soccer. This is DallasCowboys.com, and there's little girls playing soccer, and it says domain not here. Like, it doesn't show our website. I jump onto our where we register our domain. I look and I see DallasCowboys.com. is available.
Yeah.
Anybody out there can buy it. It's available. So I run and grab my wallet, and I literally purchased DallasCowboys.com right there on the spot. And I'm thinking, okay, problem averted. We got it back. We're good. Come to find out, not so much, because if you know anything about how the internet works, basically it propagates these basically there are servers all around the world that then take the domain, and they say when a person types in the domain, it says this is the server you need to go to in order to get information. Well, when that gets deleted, it takes sometimes 48, 72 hours for that to repopulate. So get to the next day, and DallasCowboys.com is still down. And by the way, Nick posted an article that said the head coach should be fired.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, the head coach gets fired.
Right.
And they're going to have a press conference about it. And Dallas Cowboys, where people would come to find out that information and where people would come to watch the press conference, is down. And for the next 48 to 72 hours, people were not being able to see DallasCowboys.com. We figured out what happened in the whole thing, but that was the worst, absolute worst 3 days of my entire career working here for the Dallas
didn't get
Cowboys.
fired.
I did not get fired. And luckily,
you might have saved your job.
Well, luckily, the thing about it was, I think part of it was we had done some pretty good work up until that point. And because we'd done some pretty good work, that saved me. Like that was like, and it wasn't really my fault, but that's beside the point. It's in my responsibility, you know. So at the end of the day, I did not lose my job, but man, that was a stressful 3 days. That was a hard 3 days. There's Nick. He knows. He was with me those 3 days. That was a hard 3 days.
Brian.
We forgot to turn in a trade with to the league office one time. It's a famous one where we almost let the clock run out. Mm-hmm. And Chris Hall walked into the draft room and goes, "Did anybody turn the trade into the league?" And Stephen Jones literally dives on the desk to get the phone to trade. But we were on to the point where we're all kind of like, yeah, we got this trade. We got the pick. We got our guy. And we're all like celebrating it. And then the next thing you know, it's Chris goes, "We turned in the trade?" And we all realized, no, we didn't. And now the clock, TV, everything's going nuts on TV. And we're standing there like, oh, my God, what just happened? But that was one of those moments where when it was over, the league called back and said, don't you effing ever do that again. And we all had a little laugh out of that.
Yeah, because it all turned out well.
Yeah,
Stephen wouldn't have been a lot less laughing.
Picked up the phone and goes, all right, yes, Joel, thank you. Yes, sir, thank you. And hung up the phone and we all started laughing.
Wow. I can't top either one of those. And mine is
stick around. You'll get some.
And mine is pretty short. But for me, it was the funniest moment that I can talk about because we have like Nobu moments and stuff I can't talk about. What happens in Malibu stays in Malibu.
Right.
But this was last year, and this was the situation wherein the entire NFL world is waiting to see where Dan Quinn is, what he's going to do. Is he going to stay with the Cowboys as DC, or is he going to go back into head coaching? And of course, Cowboys Nation as a whole, they're pleading on Twitter and Facebook, and they're like, just Dan, stay. So that particular day, I happened to go downstairs, grab something to eat. Somebody comes tap me on the back of the shoulder. I turn around, it's DQ. And I'm like, oh, hey, DQ. And he's pointing down at my shoes, and he's like, where'd you get those kicks from? Okay, well, this is, in my head, I'm like, this is random, but this is also pretty freaking awesome, right? So we started talking about the shoes really quickly, and then I noticed that he had on some Jordan 1s, so we started talking about the Jordan 1s. I go back upstairs, I sit down. This is not 5 minutes later. He decided to stay with the Cowboys. Yeah. So you can make the correlation there if you like. I believe he stayed because of my shoes. Later that afternoon, I went back downstairs just to grab a drink, and DQ was still there. And I was like, DQ, was it the shoes? He looks at me and he just does this shrug like,
There we go.
So I'm always going to tell myself that it was my Air Max 95s that kept Dan Quinn.
I'll roll with that.
That's my story. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
So thanks, Patrick.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your contribution
You're welcome.
to the team.
Shoe game.
All right, next question. I wanted to ask you guys, best road game experience. Not necessarily, press box, food is awesome here. But if a fan was to look for a game that they would want to go and experience on the road. And
Lambeau
we've
Field.
experienced the town and the atmosphere. You would say Lambeau?
I would, because they have Lombardi Steakhouse there. Me and Hellman used to just, and we took you one time.
Yeah, I
you
went
to.
one time.
Yeah,
we all went to. Yeah, we always got a steak there at in Appleton, and then when you show up at that place, the tailgating, the smells, the sights, the sounds. Some really bad memories there as well, but if you want the overall experience, it's a really good football experience.
I agree with Lambeau, and I mean you can just feel the legacy in the air in Lambeau. Like when you walk into Lambeau Stadium or onto Lambeau Field, like just you feel the Bart Scott and the Brett Favre, and just that's football. Like you feel the football in the air, and you can't really say that about some of the newer stadiums, because like for example, MetLife is a very nice stadium, but it's not the old Giant Stadium. It's not the same. Like AT&T Stadium is nice, but is it the Cotton Bowl? Is it Texas Stadium? So kind of different. But when you talk about Lambeau Field, as soon as you walk in, you
Does
just
that feel like old school?
Yeah, it's just it's like we're about to
football.
play football.
Yeah.
Like football is about to be played here. So I love that.
Nothing better than a victory in Philadelphia, too, by the way.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
Cowboy
But as a
Last
fan,
year we didn't get that. That was not
I
fun.
would not recommend nobody to show up.
I'm just saying
A Cowboys fan to. Oh no, that's a terrible
Nick
experience.
and Derek know about me turning around and
Yeah.
MF
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah. You let them have it.
I think
You've done that quite a few times.
And they deserved it. I'll throw out real quick. It's not a traditional one, but when we went to London, man, we had a fabulous time. And the reason why it was such a great trip was
the fans.
Because the fans there.
The fans made
there,
it fun.
they have a love for the Cowboys, and
Yeah.
it was. We did some shows there, and we had crowds that came out, especially that last show we did. We had crowds out there,
lined up
there was a
around
line
the
out
block.
there, to get into there to see the show. And of course, Nick had the 3 babies that he was holding. That was always
He
fun.
was hammered when he was doing that.
Yeah,
too.
I was a little worried, but yeah, that was a lot of fun.
You know what's cool about that trip too is just staying right there. We literally walked out the door, took a left, and it was like the stadium was like 100 yards from us. It was really
it was
cool.
a cool experience,
Yeah,
really cool experience.
Do we have time, or we gotta go to break?
No, we can go all the way to 40. We can go all the way to 40.
Oh,
You got
okay.
time.
It's your stage.
This is good.
That's the boss.
Your stage.
All right, favorite player of all time, all around.
Easy, Darren Woodson.
Darren Woodson's mine.
Darren Woodson.
It's so shocking because if you talk to our crew, that's a pretty common name that people throw
Darren
out,
Woodson.
and it just speaks to the kind of person he is, really.
And even a better player too.
He was a great player.
We
Yeah.
competed against him in Green Bay, and when I got to know him here and just how tough he was, and you talk about a funny story was him when George Teague took a run at Terrell Owens in that game. Woody got kicked out too.
Yep.
And I was standing down in the locker room after, and Woody came out of the shower and he looked at George and goes, "What the hell are you doing here?" He goes, "I just got tossed for taking a run at Owens." He goes, "About damn time somebody got pissed off around here." Yeah, that's just the kind of guy Woody was.
Woody's good people.
I felt so sad for him
Let him
being
in.
that kind of a player and playing on those bad teams that we had for those 3
Give
years.
Woody his gold jacket. Stop playing
Really,
around with this guy.
there will not be a happier day, I think, in our crew for a Hall of Fame announcement than the day that Darren Woodson was
I was
given
with
to the Hall of Fame.
Leroy Butler, in Green Bay, and Woody's a better player than Leroy Butler, who's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
True. Favorite media player. That means who's the guy that just kind of makes our jobs easy going.
Curse is really good from what I said. Yeah, but back in the day, Marcus Spears.
Marcus was really
Marcus
good,
Spears would stand there and talk to you the whole time when whether
Good or bad.
good or bad. He said, "All right, what questions you got?" And he would sit there and he would give you really good, solid answers as you're going around.
I will go back to the guys coming here this weekend, Zeke Elliott. Like that's one thing I respected Zeke for, because not everybody's like this. Win, lose.
Stood in front
he
of
had
them.
a good game. He had a bad game.
Yeah.
He was the first one we get in the locker room and be like, "Y'all ready?" And he would take all the questions until everybody was done, and he would say, "Thank you for
With
your time."
no sarcasm.
Right.
You
He
didn't have
just tell
to
you what he
wait on
thought.
him.
Yeah.
He just got it over.
And
but
I respect that, because
polite.
to me, and I know fans sometimes they're like, "I hate when the media is like so arrogant to think the players have to talk to them." No, it's not that. It's that you are a professional now, and a part of the professional responsibility is answering the fans, being the face for the franchise to fans. Like that's a part of your responsibilities as a professional. And I think some guys get that and they take it seriously. Some guys don't. Zeke took it seriously, and he did it really well. So I appreciate that about him.
And for me now, it's definitely, like you said, Brian, J-Ron Curse is the present tense. But I'll also give a nod to Malik Hooker. And while J-Ron Curse does much of his on camera, a lot of these discussions happen off camera and with the recorders off that fans don't see. Example being yesterday, Malik Hooker, he sat at his locker for all of 15 to 20 minutes just having a football conversation with myself and several other media members. And it was all off the record, but it was football talk. It was about what does he feel the Cowboys need to improve upon and things like that. So Malik Hooker, I mean, this Cowboys safety unit, I mean, they're really open and available, and they're not afraid to answer the tough question. Now, what went wrong? Oh, we didn't execute, So that was Malik Hooker's up there too.
All right, best, and sorry, Patrick, because you weren't with us.
I got to defer for this one.
But
this is for the OGs.
Best Valley Ranch memories, and I know you got some that maybe we can't share on the air.
I'll give a quick one. I have a lot of them, obviously, because we had some great times there. But this is what made me realize the world I was living in. This because it was not long after I started working for the Cowboys. And it's gonna start weird, so don't just follow me. I went to the restroom and I'm standing.
Yeah,
at
it's a
the
weird
urinal.
start. I'm gonna stick with you on this.
Right, I'm standing at the urinal. I hear the door open behind me. Right, hear the door open behind me. Someone walks up to the urinal next to me, and I look up, and it's John Madden.
Yeah,
and he's like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "That's
wow.
John Madden. Like I've played your game since it's And that's when I realized working for the Cowboys is so cool if you're a football fan, especially when you get an opportunity. And I have an answer later about Jerry's Hall of Fame party, but it's the same thing. Like when you get a chance to be around people that, I'm 50 years old now, but when I was a kid, I was watching these people and I was fans of these people. Like that's fun for me. All the players now, they're young enough to be my kids. So it's not the same kind of relationship, right? But for some of these guys that were around when I was a kid, man, it's really cool. And having those kind of experience were just so awesome.
I have two, and I'll do them both real quick. My first one is we started the draft show in a tiny little shoebox of a studio.
Yep.
And
Ed Cahill.
Ed Cahill came up with the idea. Derek approved it. We got it together. Everybody worked really hard on it, but that's where it started, in a tiny little room. And it's one of my favorite things I ever do. For the year. My second one was walking down the hall, the long hallway from coaching to where we used to sit there and scouting and stuff like that on that other side. And running into Jerry Jones and he going up to me and he said, Brian, he goes, you're kicking my ass pretty good right now, but you're fair about it. Keep up the good work. At that point, I thought I lost my job.
You were working for us at that point.
I was working at that point. I was just sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, I went into that area and I sat down and I literally almost threw up in my trash can there. And I was like, but that's those memories. You run into people like Derek says. You walk down the hall, here comes the owner, and you might have a moment here. You're running into people. There were always famous people that were always, another quick one too, Bill Parcells, I went to his office, knocked at his door, John Bon Jovi was sitting there talking. So, Brian, meet John. I'm like, John Bon Jovi.
That's kind of
random.
Kind of a big deal.
So, it's like I was interrupting Coach, and here's this gentleman with like a lot of hair sitting there, and I could see in the back, and I walked up, and I'm like, my God, it's John Bon Jovi, talking to Bill Parcells. So a lot of cool memories for the day we closed the Valley Ranch doors. I have it on my video. I think I was the last one out. I turned off the light, closed the door, and I kept a video of it because it was a great time.
Well, the cool thing about that place, it was so small. Nothing compared to this. Like it was so small, and I remember obviously I was only there for like a year and a half. But you walk and you run into people all the time because it's such a small space. And I remember the first time I was walking to head, I think it was out to practice or something. And then a coach, I'm walking, you walk past their offices and stops me. Hey, Amber, come here. And I seriously thought I was in trouble because I'm like, why are you talking to me?
Because we actually walked through the coach's office.
You walk through the coach and get to the studio,
Yes. And, well, I should have thought of this before I started the story. I'm not going to finish the story. No, nothing bad, but nothing to be told. But the point is, you just get stopped all the time by people that typically here, there's like a certain wall that's created, invisible wall of division. And over there, you were just so merged together.
Did you ever do the Grandies Okay, Grandy's. The one time, one of my favorite little stories about Grandy's is Parcells would do the press conference with the Grandy's teacup. He loved the sweet tea.
Nice.
And crunch on ice.
And they
the whole
crunch on,
time.
but they got mad at him. He had to put the Grandy sweet tea in another cup because of the sponsorship stuff. I remember, I'm like, why is Bill? And he's like, I'd see Bill like pouring tea into one cup. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, sponsor sometime. You got to play the game here. I'm like, oh, okay. But that was Valley Ranch.
Yeah.
We had the press conference too for TO. It was kind of a weird day. A lot of weird days.
Helicopters overhead.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of weird stuff.
That was the day that for those that don't know what we're talking about, when the day that T.O. had the overdose, if it was an overdose attempt or whatever it ended up
Bill
being.
had to do a press conference, and he was like so bitter.
Yeah.
He was just so bitter.
That was a weird day.
Real quick, too, Chan Gailey got fired. He came through our office over in scouting, and he's like, hey, is there a way to get out of here side door? I said, Coach, you go to the loading dock at the back over here. And he goes, okay, thanks. So he went through it.
That was after he'd been fired?
Yeah, the media was all waiting for him by his car, and he went out the back. He had someone bring the car around, and but he went out, came through, and he's like, hey, is there a door over here? So I said, yeah, you could go out on the loading dock over here. And
surprised he never knew about that loading dock door. We all knew about the loading dock door.
We all knew about the loading. God, it smelled so bad at that loading dock.
It did.
Awful.
Brian, I'm going to have some fun with you right now. How many answers are you going to give?
A lot of it.
No, that was good.
The memories started
They start coming
in.
back.
As you've been talking, I've had 4 or 5 pop in my head. Like that's the thing. Valley Ranch.
Valley Ranch was incredible. It really was.
There.
You're right. How tiny and just enclosed it was.
Yeah. No doubt.
Well, I'll save the rest for another week because I know we got to go to break.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll bring some memories back.
I was at least hoping for the best experience. I did want to do the best experience.
You do that one because we need.
Real quick.
Yes, because you didn't have the Valley Ranch
best
moment.
experience. Tampa Cowboys wild card game. Retiring Tom Brady.
That's
good.
Oh, yes.
That's it for me. That's a good plain and simple. Straight to the point.
All right, we're going to take our final break. We'll come back. Let's get some picks. Let's figure out what we think will happen this Sunday. Till then, we'll be back. We'll be right back. It's DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. There's no appointment needed and no waiting room. Yep, you heard that correctly. Take 5 is so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's fast, friendly, and simple service at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code COWBOYSVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code COWBOYSVIP.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Back to the break.
Mark your calendar and get your Lederhosen and Steins ready. Frisco Oktoberfest officially returns for their 4th annual celebration on Saturday, October 7th at the Star in Frisco, featuring Bavarian-inspired activities, delicious food and drink, and plenty of great live entertainment. Visit thestardistrict.com/events for more information.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. It may be the fastest segment we will ever do on the break. We're going to take picks here. We're going to see what you guys think is going to happen this Sunday, Cowboys versus Patriots. Let's start with you, Brian.
Cowboys 23-13.
23-13. Amber.
Ooh, I should have thought of a score. But either way, Cowboys win. I think defense is going to play a whole lot better, get back on track. Offense, I think they'll play better, hopefully, but I don't think all their offensive problems are going to be solved in one game. But I think they do enough to win. Who scores the first touchdown?
We'll
running
get to
back?
that. We're going to get to that.
No, we're finishing. I'm telling you
Brian's
now.
Oh, you're going to? Okay, good.
The
Sorry.
running back.
Okay.
That's the question, right?
It's
For
going to
the
be
pod picks,
the
or-
pod pick is who's going to get the first rushing touchdown.
Rushing touchdown. Dak.
All right, Dak.
That's fine. That means they're doing the first and goal stuff that I wanted to see them do. Just Bill Belichick. It's going to be a nail biter until the pressure gets to Mac Jones and rattles him. He throws a late game pick 6. Cowboys 27-17.
All right. Pod pick.
First rushing touchdown. Hunter Lipke.
All right.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Brian.
Rico Dowdle.
All right. And I also think Cowboys win. I think they win 24-16. I think the defense plays a lot better. I think the offense still has some moments, but also does a couple things right, obviously. And they get the win. And my pod pick will be Hunter Lipke as well.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
All right. Appreciate you guys joining us. Back Monday, we're going to tell you what went right and what went wrong for the Cowboys. Till then, for Patrick Walker, Brian Broaddus, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagles, and this has been The Break live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!